Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're unpacking a massive financial crisis that might literally be unfolding right over your head. We're talking about the residential solar power trap. What was sold to millions as this perfect green dream, zero down, absolutely no more energy bills, has warped into an absolute nightmare of predatory loans, shoddy equipment, and bankrupt installers. Today, using exclusive source material, legal filings, and consumer protection data, we're going to break down exactly how this trap works, who's pulling the strings, and most importantly, how trapped homeowners can legally escape.
If you're tuning in, you might actually be feeling a knot in your stomach right now. Are you stuck in a deceptive 20 to 25-year solar agreement? Maybe you were promised a system that would completely eliminate your electricity bill with absolutely zero money down. Sounds amazing, right? Yet here you are, years later, watching your monthly loan payments go up and up, while your solar panels barely produce enough power to keep the lights on. Listen, your frustration is entirely valid. You are not alone, and you're not imagining things. The financial distress you're experiencing is actually the direct result of a highly engineered, systemic industry playbook.
Just look at how high up the legal ladder this whole thing has gone. Connecticut Attorney General William Tong's recent lawsuit against Sunrun and its partners summed it up perfectly. He said, "The complaints we have seen are beyond shocking," and he definitely wasn't exaggerating. The lawsuit detailed some truly unbelievable tactics from salespeople. We're talking about things like outright forging homeowner signatures on 25-year leases, continuing with unpermitted installations after homeowners specifically said no, and even impersonating consumers on confirmation phone calls. This isn't just aggressive salesmanship. These are allegations of outright fraud.
And it isn't just state attorneys general paying attention. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the CFPB, just put a massive target on the back of the solar financing market with an official issue spotlight. Federal regulators are aggressively investigating this exact crisis. When the top consumer watchdog in the country issues a spotlight report on your industry, it means the alarm bells are ringing nationwide. This adds an undeniable layer of credibility to what we're unpacking in this explainer. The government knows this is a full-blown crisis.
To really wrap our heads around what's happening, we have to look at the financial engine driving the whole operation. Consumer protection groups are now calling this the subprime solar illusion. Why? Because major residential solar finance companies are actively replicating the exact same predatory lending arrangements that led to the subprime mortgage crisis back in 2008. They are completely prioritizing rapid loan origination and packaging over the actual financial health of the borrower. Installers and lenders are basically working hand in hand at the point of sale, using high-pressure tactics to lock homeowners into massive debts that are structurally designed to be incredibly difficult to pay off.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer scale of the hidden costs buried in these contracts, 30%. The Attorney General of Minnesota recently sued lenders like GoodLeap and Mosaic, alleging they are hiding massive markups, often 30% or more, right into the principal of the solar loan. They quietly call them dealer fees. So to put that into perspective, if you bought a solar system that should cost $20,000, these lenders artificially inflate the principal to $26,000 or more. They pitch you a super low interest rate, all while totally concealing the fact that they just tacked thousands of dollars onto the base price of the whole shebang. And they use a very specific trick to blind you to that markup. Lenders heavily market the 30% federal investment tax credit. Salespeople pitch this as a guaranteed, direct cash payment from the government that you can just hand right over to the lender to lower your loan balance. But actually, scratch that, it's a complete misrepresentation. The tax credit is non-refundable. It entirely depends on your federal tax liability. If you don't owe enough in taxes, which is super common for lower-income households or retirees, you do not get that full cash benefit. But guess what? The lender still demands that 30% payment from you. Which brings us to a really brutal reality check. The pitch is so enticing. Zero down and eliminate your energy bill forever. It sounds like pure financial freedom. But the reality, it's a nightmare. Homeowners quickly discover that their solar panels just aren't producing the promised energy. And because of this underperformance, they're still getting a hefty bill from their local utility company. On top of that, they now have a massive, escalating monthly payment to a solar finance company. So instead of eliminating one bill, they've just taken on a massive second one. Let's look at the hard facts regarding the deceptive tactics used by companies across the board, including big names like Freedom Forever, Sunrun, Sunnova, and Tesla. They grossly exaggerate energy savings using totally flawed calculations. As we saw earlier, there are rampant allegations of forged signatures. Then there's this sneaky voluntary prepayment trap. Basically, if you don't hand over a massive lump sum at month 18, which is supposed to be that tax credit you might not even get, your monthly loan payment suddenly balloons, sometimes doubling.
And finally, when the shoddy equipment inevitably breaks down, homeowners find out their warranties are completely useless. This leads us to a pretty chilling conclusion from the Center for Responsible Lending. They explicitly state that these companies replicate the misleading sales practices and predatory financing arrangements formerly used by shady subprime mortgage lenders. And the truly frightening part of all this, our sources show that just 5 companies, GoodLeap, Mosaic, Sunlight Financial, Sunnova, and Sunrun, control roughly 80% of the financing market. This isn't just a case of a few bad apples, folks. This is systemic, nationwide industry corruption operating at a massive, massive scale.
But wait, the crisis doesn't stop at bad loans. We are now entering a completely new phase of this disaster, which we can call the bankruptcy trap. What happens when the massive corporations that installed these flawed systems suddenly collapse? Over the past couple of years, we've seen a massive tidal wave of corporate bankruptcies in the residential solar sector, and the collateral damage is falling entirely on the shoulders of everyday homeowners like you.
The reality of these bankruptcies is just devastating. Think about it. When Pink Energy or ADT Solar went bankrupt, workmanship warranties became completely and permanently void. Titan Solar collapsed, leaving thousands with non-functional systems. Lumio's Chapter 11 left customers completely in limbo with half-finished, unpermitted projects just sitting on their roofs. And SunPower's massive failure? That left a staggering 600,000 homeowners stuck with broken promises. The installer is gone, the warranties are dead, but here's the kicker. The third-party finance company that gave you the loan is still aggressively demanding their monthly payment for a broken system. So this is the critical question facing tens of thousands of American families right now. Your installer has completely vanished into bankruptcy, you've got a faulty Generac PWR cell system, or maybe a leaking roof, or panels that produce literally zero electricity. You try to call for repairs and the phone line is dead. But that massive finance company that enabled the sale is still auto-drafting your bank account every single month. You feel completely trapped. What on earth do you do now? Do you just keep paying for a broken box on your roof for the next 20 years?
Well, the answer lies in a powerful, kind of hidden federal law called the FTC Holder Rule. This is your ultimate legal shield. The Holder Rule clearly states that any lender holding a consumer credit contract is subject to all the exact same claims and defenses that you could bring against the original seller. These finance companies love to play dumb and say, hey, we just processed the loan. We didn't install the panels, right? Well, the FTC Holder Rule strips away that illusion entirely. If the installer committed fraud, the lender is legally on the hook for it.
So the crucial point is this. Homeowners actually have incredible leverage here. Under the FTC Holder Rule, you can take direct legal action against giant lenders like GoodLeap or Mosaic. You can demand a recovery of the total amount you've already paid them. You can demand the complete cancellation of your remaining loan balance. And, incredibly, the rule even allows for the recovery of your attorney's fees. You can literally force these massive financial institutions to absorb the cost of the deception that they funded and profited from.
And you know what? The Holder Rule is just one tool in the toolbox. There are actually multiple legal avenues to explore here. You've got the Federal Truth in Lending Act, or TILA, which heavily penalizes lenders for hiding fees or misrepresenting loan terms. There's the federal 72-hour door-to-door rescission period, a cooling-off rule that many solar companies conveniently bury deep in the fine print. And nearly every state has its own robust consumer protection laws, like the Deceptive Trade Practices Act, which can be leveraged to void contracts that were built on a foundation of lies and misrepresentations.
Now, when homeowners try to escape, solar companies will usually offer what they call a contract buyout. But let's be real. A standard contract buyout is basically a ransom. They'll demand anywhere from $10,000 to $40,000 upfront just to let you out of your lease. It's highway robbery. Contrast that with professional exit services or consumer protection attorneys whose costs typically range from $3,000 to $10,000. Going the legal route to force a termination based on consumer rights violations is almost always significantly cheaper than paying the solar company's extortionate buyout fees.
Let's move on and see how this builds into an actual strategy. So how do you execute this? Well, Elite Solar Recovery specializes in using that FTC Holder Rule to safely exit these contracts. They follow a strict 5-step process. First, a free consultation to review your damages. Second, a deep legal analysis to find TILA or rescission violations. Third, they develop a custom legal strategy based on the specific deception used against you. Fourth, aggressive negotiation directly with the lenders to cancel the contract. And fifth, completion, where liens are released and you get written confirmation that you are finally financially free. And unlike companies charging massive upfront fees, Elite Solar Recovery operates on a flat fee retainer with financing options as low as $200 a month to get you financially free.
However, a quick word of caution here. Because millions of people are desperate to escape these traps, a whole secondary market of bad actors has popped up offering fake rescue services. You absolutely must protect yourself from solar exit scams. Watch out for these massive red flags. Anyone demanding large upfront fees before even looking at your contract. Anyone who guarantees a specific result without doing a legal analysis first. Companies lacking a verifiable track record of real client success, or anyone who can't provide proper verifiable business licensing.
Section 2. Market Overview, highlighting industry scope. And this brilliantly illustrates that while the multi-billion-dollar scope of this deception is massive, finding legitimate, structured help to escape bad contracts is entirely possible.
Which leaves us with one final, very important question. Are you ready to stop paying for broken promises? You have legal rights, and you absolutely do not have to accept financial ruin just because a salesperson forged a document or a lender hid a massive fee. Take action today. Consult with Elite Solar Recovery to leverage the FTC holder rule and reclaim your financial freedom. Thank you so much for joining us for this explainer, and we will see you next time.